Chapter 11. A Dark Blue Van. The next morning, Si had news for Justine and Nora about the DNA.
"I have DNA from one of the glasses," he said. "Not Crocker's glass, the other man's. It's the same as the DNA on Wendy Borman's clothes."
"Who is this other man?" asked Justine. "We don't know him. Is it Morbid?" "Maybe. And what did you get from Crocker's glass?" Nora asked Si.
"I couldn't get DNA from Crocker's glass. It was too dirty," said Si.
Justine looked at Nora. "What now?" she asked.
"We must find Crocker," said Nora.
Mobot worked all morning on her computer, and then she found something. She called Jack.
"Morbid wants to kill Graziella tonight. He's sending her text messages from a friend, Lulu. Graziella is answering these messages from Lulu. She says, 'See you after school.' But I don't know where they are meeting."
"Where is Morbid?" asked Jack.
"I don't know,"
said Mobot. Justine and Nora drove to Crocker's office on Wilshire Boulevard.
"Mr. Crocker is on vacation today,"
said the woman at the desk. They drove fast to his apartment, but he was not there. "Let's find his van," said Nora. Nora called the police station. "We're looking for a new, dark blue Toyota van. Every police car must look for it." Then she and Justine waited in their car near Crocker's apartment building. The call came back to Nora. "The dark blue van is in Silver Lake. It was on Alvarado Street, but we can't find it now."
"We must stop that van!" shouted Nora into the radio. "The driver is a killer!"
Jack and Emilio were on the road too. Mobot called Jack.
"I'm reading more messages from Morbid to Graziella," she told him. "She's in Glendale, and he wants to meet at Ralph's supermarket."
Graziella was in the street near the supermarket. Morbid walked up to her.
"Graziella," he said,
"I'm a friend of Lulu's. She's in hospital. Can you come with me to visit her? She wants to see you." Morbid put his hand on Graziella's arm.
Jack ran across the street and hit him in the stomach.
Morbid fell down, and Jack held him.
"Where's Rudolph Crocker?" shouted Jack.
Nora and Justine got to Glendale quickly too. Crocker's van was behind the supermarket, with a police car next to it. Nora talked to a police officer.
"Crocker is in the van, Lieutenant," he said. "He won't open the doors."
Justine walked up to the van. Crocker was sitting with his hands on his head.
"Get out of the van, Crocker," she said.
He smiled at her.
Justine hit the van window hard with her gun. She put her hand into the van, opened the door, and pulled Crocker out.
There was blood and glass everywhere. At the supermarket, the police took Morbid away. Jack and Emilio walked to Crocker's van. They found Justine with her foot on Crocker's back. "Are you okay?" asked Jack. "There's a lot of blood on you."
"It's not mine," said Justine. "It's Crocker's."
Jack put some glass with blood on it in a bag and gave it to Emilio. "Get this to Cy," he said. "There's DNA here." The police took Crocker away. Justine looked at Nora.
"We need to go to his apartment and look for Wendy Borman's necklace."
Justine and Nora looked everywhere in Crocker's apartment. They found nothing. Justine opened the closet in the bedroom to look at Crocker's clothes again. The light was on a string, and she pulled it. She looked at the end of the string in her hand. It was the star from Wendy's necklace. "We've caught them, Justine," said Jack, back at Private. "Cy looked at the DNA from Crocker's blood. It's the same as the DNA from Wendy's clothes." The next morning, Jack's phone woke him early. "Jack, it's Carmine Noccia. I have some bad news for you. Your friend, Andy Cushman, is dead. His car went off the road near Marin, and it went into the ocean." "Did anybody see Andy's car go into the ocean?" said Jack. "Oh, yes. One of my cousins saw it. He was the only person there. Have a good day," said Carmine. Jack looked at his phone for a minute and thought, Carmine's cousin killed Andy. Then he turned and threw it out of the window. It was time for a new phone and a new phone number.